Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the TED Talk. Today, I'll be joined by the lovely s1n from Big Academy for a nice little, well, not gonna be such a short interview. It's gonna be more like mid-size, not going for those hour-long interviews because it's a little bit too much for us. But s1n, how are you doing, bro?
I'm really good, man. How are you?
I'm doing lovely. I'm doing lovely. Actually, to started off with a fun story. Me and you actually did this interview already. We did it like a week and a half ago, but unfortunately, I decided to screw up the noise. Well, or rather, my mic voice was just gone. So yeah, OBS decided that we had to reshoot this one again. So yeah, fortunately though, we have a couple new topics around you, and it's gonna be actually interesting because we have something that we didn't discuss last time. But starting off, how's the season been going for you guys? And to start you off with, the newest news. Obviously, we saw that last week. s1n is not a part of the main big team anymore, so Hyped had to go in. And for you guys, it felt like you finally had at least a month to play with a solid five, and now that's gone as well. So
Yeah.
how's it been going the last couple weeks?
Yeah, so at the start of the year, we came together again in the boot camp. We were like, let's start the season off right. Made a boot camp with Hyped and all the other guys. So we were really like preparing and finding ourselves as a team. Even though we missed out on a big LAN in Norway, we lost against the prospects. So even though the results were not showing in officials, I think we were doing really good progress. But yeah, as you said, Hype got called up to the main team because of s1n. He left the team, and so that obviously means for us that we need a new op. And yeah, I filled his shoes for a few days, but yeah, it was just like temporarily. I was opping in like two ECA games and one Eliza game, so it was nice. But in the end, we still need a new opper. I'm just going to keep IGLing and rifling. So yeah, so we brought in Sensei.
Yeah, about Sensei, by the way, because obviously a lot of us remember him from his time in Sangao. We know that he's a capable oper, but he hasn't really had the chance to play in a solid project in some time. What do you think of him as an oper for that short period of time that you've been playing together?
Yeah, so Sensei, I know him since he's like a friend of mine because we were like the same age group, like with Crimbo Pros and stuff. We always knew each other, like from like Face It Gaming and stuff. So I know him for a few years, and then he at the like when he went to like Sangal and stuff, I focused on myself and the team, so we didn't have that much contact in the last years. But I've known him since he was like 16 or 15 even,
Mhm.
and he's obviously gotten really good with the op. I watched his progress, especially with like Sangal and the Sangal, like the German team, and then he was like in the Turkish team, and he was like all around playing really solid, and it was really impressive because he was always like the flashy oppa, but now he was showing that he can like compete on the international level, like the top 100, top 50
Mhm.
teams. So that's really nice to see. And now, as you said, he has like a stable ground because he was inactive last year, and so now he's coming to the big academy. And like from the pracs and the games we had so far with him, he's like really grateful to have the opportunity to just play CS full time and like with a stable five. And he's just really happy, really motivated, and you can really feel it when you're on TeamSpeak with him.
Yeah, that's great to hear, man. Because your team has been going through a lot of roster changes. Obviously, we're gonna get through it later on and speak about yourself as well because you had your little venture on the main team. But going further, still standing in this calendar year, you had another change. Well, I guess that was a change that happened towards the latter stages of 2022 and the early stages of this year. You signed an Arrow as well, a player from Onyx Academy. He played on Onyx as well before that with people like Bondik, like Impulse. Those are names that you don't really see that often anymore in the CS world, especially Bondix, who I think had a short venture in Valorant even. But talk us through that transfer and. First of all, how did it go to the decision to remove Aqua, or was it really a removal? And how did you choose Arrow after that?
Yeah, so obviously at the end of the last year, I was going to the main team, and that means the academy team needed a new player. And while I was gone, I didn't really notice what like I couldn't spend that much time with the academy boys. Like they're still my friends,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously I had some duties in the main team, and we were traveling a lot. So when I came back, I just heard that I didn't even talk to him to be honest. Like Aqua was deciding to like retire from CS or like take a break because he
Hmm.
didn't want to spend his time playing full time CS anymore.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really talk about it about this with him, but I respect his decision, and he just maybe feel like there was no future for him in this game or in big.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, obviously I respect his decision, but yeah, that left us coming into the new year. Crimbo was standing in like the last two tournaments. He was standing in from the main team for the academy team, so he's helping us a bit out. But obviously, coming into the new year, we need a new player, and we're thinking about there are not that much opportunities to pick up strong German talented players anymore. I would say like a few years ago there were like young players, for example, like yeah, it was like Crimbo Process, me, Sensei as well. They were like young players were coming and really like motivated to play.
Yeah.
And now I think they're not that much good players, but Arrow obviously stood out. He was, as you said, he was playing with the main Onyx team and on some LANs as well. But also in the last German Championship season, he finished like fourth place, and he beat, for example, the team of Kovana. And they were like all a really young team. So role-wise and stuff, I think he was the only real fit that we could have taken as a German player. We could have also gone international, but I really wanted to keep German also because everyone is speaking German. In the main team, you're also speaking German because everyone wants to do the move up to the main team.
Yeah.
So just German speaking will be really good, and yeah, that's why we picked Arrow in the end.
Yeah, and how do you feel he's been fitting so far? Because that's something that we discussed last time, obviously, but something that a lot of people have noticed watching you guys play with Arrow, that he is a lot sharper than the typical German player. So how does that
Mm.
fit in your structure?
Yeah, no, so obviously it's like really good to have a player who's like just shooting some heads,
Hmm.
and but not like in the like he's just going forward and pressing W. He's also like really smart, investing a lot of time into his position. He also got new positions, obviously, so that's nice to see. He's still, you can feel like in practices and officials, he's like still a bit unexperienced, but we all were at some point. So you can really feel his work ethic. Everyone is working hard, and obviously it's just nice to see. And yeah, the progress is just starting. So I'm really excited to where we as a five-man team where we can end up at maybe at the mid season.
Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to that. And it could be hard to work under those circumstances when you have so many changes coming up for a short period of time. But for now, we're gonna focus on you for just a little bit. I'm sure that the team is gonna continue doing really well. But speaking about you on a personal level, it's been 1 year since you joined the big academy and the big project as an organization. So talk us through the process of getting into that, what led to that, and how much did that actually change for you as a player and as a person?
Yeah, so it was like almost 2 years ago now, where I was like still in school. I was like I had to finish my school before I could really pick up full-time CS. And yeah, then I finished it, and then I had like a few months still with NAG, but we couldn't play like full time because we didn't get paid, so my teammates had to like still work.
Yeah.
So I was really looking forward because now I had the time to play full time CS, but I didn't have like the offer. So at the end of the year, Karim Crimbo approached me. He was like, "Yeah, I'm coming back to the big academy team." He was like in Atex and Kovana at the time. He was like, "Yeah, I'm coming back, and I want to build a really strong roster for the upcoming seasons, especially because we play Academy League was starting at the time.
Yeah.
So we wanted to build a roster that like can win these trophies there, and because it was also a huge amount of prize money. And yeah, so he just approached me. He was like, "Yeah, you want to come?" He wanted me to like build the team with him, and then we figured out who we want to pick. And then also obviously Process, he was still in the academy team. He's a really good friend of us, so it was a no-brainer to keep him in the team. And obviously hyped because we also known him. He's like also playing a lot of faces with us and stuff at the time.
Hmm.
So we had to few other names on the list, but in the end we picked hyped, and that was like the foundation, and also Aqua from the previous team. So we had like really good, like there was a lot of potential in the team, and we could really feel it at the start of the year.
Yeah. Did it change something about your view at CS:GO and your goals going into that organization, or was it just another step that was kind of logical for
Mm?
your career and from your perspective? Did you start
Oh,
looking at the game and how you took the practices and all of the games in a different way?
oh yeah, for sure, because it was my first like really full-time team. So that obviously is a huge step because you just play a lot more.
Yeah.
But also it means we got too big, and at this, well, I was like, it was still unofficial. It was like in the midway of December before we like signed really, and we were like, guys, because the Academy League was starting at the 3rd of January, we were like, guys, we need to start the boot camping already. Then we all came to Berlin. We were like, not announced yet, not signed or anything. We were just practicing here in the office. So obviously that year started with a great boot camp. And for me at the time, I really noticed Crimbo was like a few steps ahead of me
Hmm.
because he also played with like Crystal, and in these teams like Crystal and Skrank, he had like really good mentors, I would say, who he got the view on how to IGL from, and also why we're here in Berlin in the boot camp, because Crimbo was taking over the IGL task for the first time,
Yeah.
and he was asking like tabseN also how do you do it, and I think he found a really good mixture on how to start a young team and IGL it, because he's also a really young player. And yeah, and then just obviously the full-time practice and the approach, how Crimbo is like calling and creating a system around us, that you've opened my eyes a bit, because I was still like, I was at, especially at the start of last year, I was just like a role player, I would say, because I was just playing my role. I
Hmm.
didn't have the eye on the macro, on the
Yeah.
whole team. I just looking at myself, yeah, what can I do better? What can I improve? Like also reviewing my games, but I didn't really think much about the team aspect. What could we, or what could I do as a part of the team on this part of the map better than, rather than just like, I overpeaked here and that was a bit too slow, because that opened really my eyes. And yeah, it was like the also this part, the in-game part, and then also like coming into Berlin here into the office, you not only talk with the guys from the main team like tabseN, GOP and stuff, but also you see how they live, how they work, and that's obviously that is like tier one CS, and you see they travel and all the guys behind them as well, supporting them to just focus on CS and,
Hmm.
yeah, play this game as hard and as much as possible.
Yeah, you said about opening up your eyes about the game and the macro all around the map. I assume that developed even further as soon as you had to pick up the IGL role as well on the academy team, which is something that happened as Crimbo had to go into the main team. So how hard was it for you to transition into being that IGL? And I actually wanted to know which was the thing that you hated the most and you liked the
Mm.
most about being an IGL in the start.
Yeah, so at the start, it was obviously new for me to try to IGL. I had Crimbo like approaching the IGL role as a new player, like as a new IGL,
Hmm.
and I saw his way of starting it, and then also Keto came in, and he was like first time IGL as well, and I saw his approach as well,
Yeah.
and then it was obviously my turn, and I thought like, how do I want to do this? And I think I found a good mixture, because Crimbo was doing it a lot like, I wouldn't say like set, but he was like coordinating a lot, and he really wanted,
Micromanaging.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, and he was like focusing on like every part, like 5 parts, 5 players, and he was focusing on every part, on every round, and he was like, everyone was moving in his motion, like he was focusing a lot on that.
Yeah.
And Keto, I would say it was a bit more loose, but not to a good extent, like not too loose. So it was like just another style, and I think I could really see how Crimbo's way affected also the other players in the team, like Process and Hype, for example. Then I saw how Kito's approach, um, what the other guys were thinking, or like how were they playing, like how was Process playing, for example,
Hmm.
because he was in the pack roads. Then I was like, okay, how I want to do this, and I think I found like a good mixture of those two parts, like from Keto and Crimbo, because they had like really different styles, and I think I found a good mixture, because I felt like a good mixture is always key, especially because at the start, the IGL, you don't know. Like for example, my first week as IGL, I can't say, yeah, I can do this really great, I can do that really great, because you just have to play a lot and see what is really your strength as a leader as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, at the start I was really like I enjoyed the time because everyone in the team also understood that it's like a new role for me.
Yeah.
And at the time we also brought in my good friend Sky. I played with him in No Limit. Like he's my longest teammate now, I think, in all the years. Even though I left him to join Big Academy and he joined Attack, so I reunited with him. So I really liked the understanding from all of them at the start. But also what I didn't like was, yeah, just basically I saw at start, which was like I was trying to coordinate and stuff, and then I just got killed, for example, not looking at controls, at the basic stuff, like every IGL probably expected, lived in this moment, like where you
Yeah.
just die because, ah, fuck, I was looking at my radar or something. So that was really tough, but yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing that a lot of people actually give the smoke to IGLs for nowadays, because they're like, oh, you can't be using those excuses anymore. You need to be
Yeah.
fragging. You can't be saying that you're looking at the radar. But you saying that, I guess a lot of people will understand that this is still a problem for newer IGLs sometimes. But speaking of your development and learning new things and trying new things, I guess we can't really miss out on the most exciting thing that happened for you last year, and that is obviously after you guys you went into the IGL role. You played a couple seasons of the We Play Academy League. You played really well there, even though there were not any I'd say any significant results in terms of you didn't manage to win the tournament, but you still played really well and you were in the contest of being one of the best academy teams. But we're going into the most interesting part, which is you joining the main team for the major circuit. So, talk us through the story of you realizing that you're gonna play with the main team. How much time did you have to prepare? How easy was it for you? And mentally, was it hard to realize that there's so much responsibility on your shoulders?
Yeah, so it was like we played the we play finals like with the academies team still, and
Yeah.
then after that we went to Philadelphia, and I played really good in these two tournaments. And at the time I was like IGLing, and I found like a good mixture of how to call, and also like how I can feel the game, and I like called a bit around myself, I would say.
Hmm.
So I was playing really well, and I felt like everyone on the team was also like they knew how to do their job, and they really fit in, I think, really good at this time. So that made me play really good as well. So I was like coming back from these tournaments, I played really good, and I was like at home. And then I got a call like 9 a.m. in the morning or something. It was like my friend Denzel, he's a manager here in Big, and he called me like, "Yo, you need to come to Berlin as soon as possible." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, but what happened?" So and then he told me like what happened, like Faven is going to be sick, and I need to play the RMR. And I was like, "Whoa, okay, I'm coming to Berlin as fast as possible." And yeah, then we had like I think it was 6 days or like 5 or 6 days to prepare for the RMR. I was like here in Berlin with tabseN, Copy, and I think yeah Kito was here as well. So and s1n as well. Yeah, right. Everyone was here actually. Yeah, true. At the major, not everyone was here, but at the RMR, everyone was here. We were like practicing a lot, and I was also playing really good in these practice days because I was just happy to be here. I did my good job. Everyone, like, especially Fatih, Gopi, he told me, like, what am I doing really good? And, like, everything was going really, especially practices. Practice were also, like, we were so confident coming into the tournament. We felt like really we were ready, even though it was just like 5 or 6 days. And yeah, then we played the RMR. Was in the end, it was a bit close. I remember still the last game against K23. It was like the 2-2 game, and we went like to overtime on Dust 2
Yeah.
on the third map. But yeah, in the end we did it, and it was like a really nice experience. Then we got into the major, obviously.
Yeah, was it tough for you playing a new role, not being the IGO? You just said that you were getting comfortable with calling around yourself and playing well, and everyone else knowing their job and playing well around your ideas. So was it a bit shocking for you to just step down on, maybe not shocking, but a bit more uncomfortable to step down from that IGL role, even though you're playing with people like GotB and tabseN? And how did actually working with tabseN and GotB affected you? Because a lot of people are referring to them as CS geniuses, and two of the people to know the game the best.
Yeah, so it was for me as an IGL to like give up the IGL role and become like play like these lurk positions. It was like not like hard because I was doing this my whole life actually, and I knew I'm not going to be an IGL forever because obviously I want to go join the main team and then we have like tabseN. Um, but I also knew how being an IGL in the like lower tier team in the academy team, it opened my eyes a lot, and like I saw the team perspective and I improved a lot in this. And I think if I would have just kept playing my positions and then came into the main team, I wouldn't play as good
Hmm.
as I did, and I would like have a lot more problems coming into the main team as well. So it was like at the start it was really easy to adapt to these positions because I'm just playing. Oh, okay, I'm just playing my lurk positions again on T side, for example, just doing my stuff. And also a lot of new rounds, a lot of like a new level of CS being played, a higher level. So that was like more a challenge than just playing these positions, I would say. And yeah, but obviously, Fatih is probably the best coach we will ever have in Germany because he can make you as an individual on your position, he can make you so much better. And obviously also as a team. But I think it's like, if I would say a special ability that he has, it would be like definitely making a player. He knows just what a player needs to do in his role in this position, and that's where he can make a lot of players really good. And for tabseN, I would say the best German player we ever had or we ever have. He's IGLing now. I think his special ability on especially on the T side is like when he's like unleashed, especially in this time where Gobby was IGLing and he was like the rifle and he was like finding the gaps in the setups of the CDs, and he was like,
Yeah.
if he could just play like in the pack in the rifle position, like in the pack together, maybe with the IGL in the front with the op, I think that he's like unstoppable, one of the best players in the world for sure. Um, Obviously now he's an IGL, so he's also extremely good as an IGL. He like applied the system from Gobi. He learned so many years under him, and it's like crazy. But obviously he can't do the stuff that I talked about, like finding gaps in these setups and stuff.
Yeah.
He cannot do it as you know that much as an IGL because, as I said, you have to sometimes stay back and coordinate your teammates, and obviously you have another player like going first and like doing it in his own way. But yeah, as I said, tabseN's like the best German player we ever have, and you learn so much from him. Also, his approach to the game, like he's loving it so, and you just feel it when you play with him, especially in these practice games.
Yeah.
And I just remember we were playing like K23, and it was like, Big. Obviously, Dust 2 is the best map of Big, and we
Yeah.
were like, we had like such a good understanding, and we were like one of the first teams, or like Big was one of the first teams to really play it to a high level, I would say. And it was like we are coming into the third map. We need to make the major, and was like, then we went into the overtime, and I just looked at tabseN. He was sitting like next to me, and he was just enjoying the moment. He was like laughing, and he was like, "Man, it's the third map overtime," and he was just enjoying the moment so much. And then I could really feel his passion for the game at that moment. So that's like a moment I remember from playing with him.
That's actually crazy to think about it. I don't think I've ever heard somebody having their run at a major at the stake, third map, decider, overtime, and they're just standing there laughing, being like, "Man, imagine how cool that is. We're just playing the most epic scenario. I mean, even if it was scripted, it wouldn't have been that close. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. So before we get into the major and how things went there for you, I actually have a bit of a bonus question for you. After spending so much time with tabseN and Gobby, which is the thing that which is the most valuable lesson that you learn from them? It might be a CS thing, it might be something about life, it might be something about your work ethic or whatever, but would you say that there is a lesson that you've learned from them that you can remember and just put it into words?
Mm, it's like so much that I learned from them. It's like hard to really like find one thing, but overall you can, especially like Fatih is always like staying up late and finding, because he's not a player anymore. So
Yeah.
obviously he doesn't have to play deathmatch and stuff. And I remember just we had a prac room in Malta in the RMR, and to the extent where he analyzed the opponents, like he knew just found the winning material, what we have to do to win the game. And I think that's like a huge lesson from Gopi to, you can find a lot of good stuff, like many gaps and stuff, but in the end, you need to find the thing which will win you the round or win you games, because a lot of players, especially they watch like demos and they think, we can do this, but it's like, how can I say, it's not like a winning play. And to some extent, of course, everything, like if you get the kill and stuff, but in the end, you need to do winning plays. And I think Fatih analyzed that really good. And I could see in also the analysis we did with Sao, our analyst, I learned a lot from that as well. Like how do you really like anti-strat and like prepare for a game? Because we were also doing it in the academy team, but it was like a whole new level. Like because maybe in the academy team we even had like, for example, for We Play Finance, we had like so much stuff, but and then at the AMA we had like just some few key points. Like Gob always told it was like his 21 points to win or something, and he just told us in front of the game. We didn't have that big of an analysis, but just in front of the game, he told us like, guys, okay, this, and this. That was like the key points. So that was like a huge factor for preparation. And yeah, just tabseN on how he probably even how he enjoys this game. And I think that's what you just need to also enjoy the moment, and that's like a huge lesson you learned. And obviously, when he's practicing in the prec room, and while we're not playing official games or practices, and you can just see his passion. I think that like lit a fire in me, even after all these events, and I just rethink about the time,
Yeah.
just how much he fucking enjoys this game. It's like so crazy to see.
Yeah, speaking about fucking enjoying this game, man. You played a major in Rio. I mean, that you must have fucking enjoyed that. And
Yeah, for
I,
sure.
I want you to tell us a few words about you playing your first major. What was your mentality going into it? What did it mean to you? And did you feel ready to compete with the best as you were playing the games? Did you feel like, okay, my place is here?
Yeah, I felt really like, I didn't think about much about I'm playing the major now and stuff,
Yeah,
because I was just like playing this big tournament, like the biggest tournament probably ever. I played for sure. It was like just another big tournament, I would say, because in the AMA and Malta, it was also like the first time where I played like in like these tier one events, and you see like the practice rooms, you see Vitality, Face, also all these practice rooms
yeah.
next to
You're
me, and you
just
see like
casually
these teams.
walking around
Yeah,
the corridor. Simple walks by, Zywo
yeah,
walks by.
that's,
You're like, hi guys.
yeah. Also like you see these guys, and also like in the AMA and the major, we're flying like 12 hours to Rio, and then like in this big hotel, and so amazing. Then we have like these practice rooms. Also, this practice room was like a hotel room with like everything set up what we need to play. Then I looked out of the window, I saw like this. It was like a huge river, and I was like feeling in heaven just playing CS. But no, obviously the major that was like I definitely played ready. I was not like fuck, I'm going to play the major. I'm a bit nervous and stuff. I was really like hyped up to play the major, and I think I showed, especially because we were in the challenger stage. We had some. I just like now I'm thinking back in these right now. We had like some crazy games, especially like obviously against I remember a game against 9Z, and there was like a fan in the crowd who's just like shouting against us. He was like Brazilian, because they were like the home team,
Yeah.
and we were winning rounds. And there was also this picture of Quito where he's like roaring at the crowd, because
Oh yeah,
they were
yeah.
also like, yeah, they were like, the fans were so like against us, and that was like really really nice to just play in that moment. And also like if I have to like think about some key points, there's like obviously the opening game against Furia. It was like the first game. I didn't remember. Was it the first stage? I think it was the second stage. We were like playing against Furia, and you know it's tough because I was like a bit nervous, obviously, because it was like we were playing in front of the big crowd. Like it was also the first major with crowd in the like group stage. So there were like so many people against the home team, the home favorites Furia, and we were like down. I did like a lot of stupid mistakes on Vertigo T side. I was at like 3 entry deaths or something, and some stupid rounds, and we were like 3-13 back, and we came back and silenced the whole crowd. That's definitely a key point. And then looking back at it, I think I think I was like ready to play, obviously, because I think I showed some really good maps. I think my best map was against Mouse,
Hmm.
and like I showed, and we as a team also showed like we can really compete with the like because Mouse was playing like a really awesome tournament. They were like so strong. They were like losing, like winning a lot of maps. Also only lost against us. In the end, they made the semifinals, and they were like really on point. You know, they were really playing a strong tournament. And I played my best map against them, and we also as a team played really strong. So I think I showed glimpses of what I can do for sure, but consistency is a huge point, and I think it was Mirage. And the next game was like or a few games later, it was against Fnatic. It was like a key game to advance to the playoffs, and we made some mistakes that against Mouse we didn't. It was the same map, Mirage, and especially I just remember we were like playing the default ending on A, like where you smoke top con and molly deep jungle, and I was
Yeah.
like so fast in sandwich, like it was a really good position. After that, I just overextended. Looking back, maybe it was a bit of nerves, but I would rather say it was a bit more of not understanding the situation that good in the moment. And I just like overextended a lot, and I just run through like to the bench. And I think I got one guy low, but I died in the end. And that was like a key point in the game where it was like initially it was my fault. So I think looking back at this game, I was like, man, I'm so stupid. What am I doing there? So I think consistency is a key point, but I showed glimpses of what I can do, and I think I was like ready, but also the consistency what not was not like always there. So that's what I need to work on because I
Yeah.
showed good maps, but no, I think I can do like I can be like a solid player, but I want to do obviously be more than that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that you're able to remember those little details about rounds of games that happen. You know, it's some of your biggest games, if not the biggest games of your career so far, right? But you're still able to remember those little details and emphasize on them from a couple months ago, and that just shows that you've been able to put in some realized work towards fixing those. You've been able to focus on that and really understand what you did wrong, what you did right, what you need to work on. And this is something that a lot of people don't actually do because I guess it's a really good advice. I don't know if you can call it like that. You can give to younger players as well. The fact that you see a lot of people watching their demos, watching other teams' demos, POVs, and all of that, but they're not really in the moment, not really understanding what they're on about. And it's really good that you're saying all of that because that just shows that you've emphasized on that and you're in the moment when you're going through those moments, and that's I guess that's the way to move forward. But before we move in, how you felt post major, what happened after that. Again, a bit of a bonus question, and this is something that I'm really intrigued to ask you again, even though we had that last time, and I know what you're gonna say, but I want to hear it again. Which was the team that you felt the worst playing against, or which was the team that
Hmm.
gave you the
Yeah,
hardest fight?
yeah. Like I was really, I had a really hard time playing against heroic because we were like preparing for the game and stuff. And Fatih always told us like, I think they're the best team in the world right now. And a few months later, eventually they were like number one. And at the time, I didn't really figure out like, especially at their style on the city side, like with these constant aggressions and these fast reactions from individual players. And now looking back, I understand how they play the game, how they play, especially their city sides. But at the moment when I was playing against them, I had no clue what was going on. I just couldn't see the bigger picture of their playstyle on all maps even. So that obviously makes it really hard for me to play against them and like make good key decisions in the game because now looking back, I just know the approach, and that obviously helps you in the game find some gaps and maybe understand the whole situation on the map even better. But at the time, I obviously they played a lot more and they showed the whole world that they can be the number one team, and that's what they did in the end. So obviously they showed like with their style they can be the best. That's also what helped me. But in the moment when we were playing against them in the Armada, it was I think I had like a really rough time to like find impact on my game against them.
Yeah, it's interesting by the way. I guess the heroic topic is really it's really viral one right now because of them making it into the Katowice final as well. What do you think about that, and what do you think about G2 as well? I know we're getting a little bit off course, but you mentioned
Sure.
heroic, and they're a little bit hot right now. So what do you think about the Kato final, and do you think that heroic might be close to overthrowing G2 in the next couple months? Do you think that's a possibility?
Oh yeah, for sure. But at the moment, G2 seems like an unstoppable force because next to next to Nico and for example Hunter and obviously Monacy, you have like also JKS who's really putting up star numbers, and it's just like so hard to fight against four of the best individuals in the world, and when they're playing their A game, and
Yeah.
it's really tough. But I think also like Hooks is doing a really good job at leading the team, and you can really like really feel it. I watched like a YouTube video of with the psychologist of G2,
Mm-hmm.
who's like there with the one of Vitality, and they were like for example, they told us stuff like before at the start of the year they do like a 3-day boot camp without PCs to just get to know each other as a group. And I think you even though you say like yeah they have good individuals and stuff, you can't underestimate the point of what kind of team they are, because they're also a really super strong team. And I think Heroic is like might even be the better team, but like not like they're not like so far ahead, because I think G2 is like really like definitely the best team in the world at the moment. I'm excited to see if they can keep it up. It's definitely tough to play against them, like from the outside, especially these big games. But yeah, Heroic is especially when Syush is doing like he had like the semi-final and stuff. He was
Yeah.
playing like insane and so much key rounds, and I think he can be like maybe in similar part than like what JKS is to G2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like there's like a lot of like struggle in the tier 1 CS, I would say, because like obviously roster changes and stuff, like Vitality not finding themselves maybe even. But like the top two teams are definitely G2 and Heroic right now. And like that was like the Katowice Grand Final, and I think it was also like the Hunter interview on HITV. He told us like if they were like I think it was Ancient, if they were like Ancient, it could be like a whole new story to the Grand Final. So yeah, and then I think these two are like definitely the top teams right now, and the others are a bit more behind, and they're like fighting a close fight for the
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah. Hopefully the gap dwindles a little bit until the major because we want to see a close major again. But going back into it, we're still speaking about another major. We're not speaking about Paris. We're speaking about Rio. So how are the
Mm.
vibes like for you after the major ended? Obviously, you played one more tournament. You played the Elisa Masters Espo finals in Finland. It was a long tournament, but how was the atmosphere in the team after the major, and how did you feel after your run with the main team of Big was done and you had to go back into the academy team?
Oh yeah, so obviously everyone was like feeling good after the major because we had like a really good run, but also disappointed that we couldn't make it to the playoffs after like the 2-0 in the legend stage.
Yeah.
So there's like also that glimpse of what could have been, obviously, So coming into Finland, into Espoo, we couldn't play with s1n because he was ill. So obviously we need Faven to step in. And I would say because s1n is like he's like a bit quiet in game, like he's not showing his emotions and stuff that much. Um, can also be good, obviously, but coming in with Faven, he's like also a bit quiet, but he's like a good friend of mine. I've known him since a long time. I went to vacation with him one time. It was like after I finished my school, so I known him, and we were like all five. We were obviously playing without an AWP. We were all five were really understanding each other, and it was so much fun to play. Um, but yeah, individually, I would say I struggled a bit in this last tournament because obviously we need the AWP. So tabseN filled in with the AWP, and I took like the hills roads a bit, like my IGA roads that I'm
Yeah.
basically playing right now. And that was like from individually and like performance perspective, I would say I would struggle a lot because I didn't play this position for a long time, like just when I started IGLing, and then I like adjusted to these road changes like in front of before the major and stuff. And then I like for the last tournament I came back to this position, and like I couldn't find myself in these last games. I didn't do a good job, especially like the semi-final and the final. Obviously, we got stumped, but in the semi, I just remember the one map on Nuke because I was not playing a lot of Nuke, and like that was like our fifth best map in the academy team. And then I was just playing outside, and I did like on CT and T side. I was not playing so well on this position, and had like a lot of struggles against it was Sprout. But yeah, it is what it is. Like obviously, as a team, it was like a really cool tournament because we could just saw like how much like motivation and like in game like hyping each other up and stuff. How far it can get you. Even as I said, we've been playing without an op, and then I think if you're playing against a team like Fnatic with a really strong opper, I think they just kind of picked us apart with their individual performance on the day in the final. And yeah, obviously Elisa was kind of good. Like obviously second place. Again second place because we wish we could have gone like this one step further. Like for example Rio the playoffs and then obviously the final to win the
Mhm.
final. But in the end it was like a great experience. It was also a really big crowd. I didn't expect it because I was just thinking, yeah, Espoo, I didn't heard of the city.
Yeah.
And it was like such a great like big tournament. It was like so many people were there in the arena. That's also like a huge experience for me to like play another tournament besides the major with like such a huge crowd. But obviously, the crowd felt like small in comparison to the Brazilian ones in Rio.
Yeah, it's obviously
Yeah,
different when you have like
yeah,
10,000 Brazilians just screaming "Vamos caralho" at you. So yeah, I guess we see why it's a bit different.
yeah. I just remember the also the fan chants in Brazil. It was like I just remember one time where there were like this Queserato fan chant, and
Yeah.
then at the evening I think it was after we lost against them 0-2 in the first game, the 2-0 game. And I was like back in the hotel. I was like in the elevator, and I just had this in my head, this like these fan chants. I was like, "Am I tripping or something?" And I just heard this like it was
Yeah.
crazy. It was so unbelievable.
Yeah, you're getting possessed. You're getting
Yeah,
possessed by the K Serato fans. They're
yeah, for
gonna
sure.
haunt you until the end of your life. But uh, it's really nice to hear that you still had a really good time in Espo, and overall the vibe that I'm getting from your stay in the main team is that you really enjoyed it, and it was a really good experience for you. So moving further, obviously going back into the academy team might have not been the easiest, but to say it in the first place, you knew that you probably wouldn't be staying there permanently, because it was you were just standing in for your ill teammate. But moving back into the academy team, you're now the most experienced player maybe in this roster. So if you had to compare yourself after all of the adventures, I guess we can call them, that journey that you had throughout the last now 13 14 months, if you had to compare yourself to yourself back in the start of 2022 to yourself today, how would you do that? What are the biggest differences?
Yeah, I think I like I hinted at some points earlier. At
Yeah.
the start of last year, I was like just playing my positions, playing myself in these scenarios. And with becoming an IGL and seeing how my teammates did the IGL role, I kind of got a glimpse of how to like lead a team and like structure a team, not only from like a leader, like a personality perspective, but also from how do you want them to move on the map? How do you want to approach the map? I think I learned how to do this, and then obviously I came to the main team and I saw how is tier one doing it, how is tabseN doing it, how is Fatih set like Gobi, how is he setting up the system, how does he want everyone to play, and that's like at the moment like after playing the RMR, after playing Rio, even after playing the Espoo tournament in Finland, I couldn't really like. I obviously had these lot of experiences like, that I gained from these last months, but I couldn't really like figure it out like right after because I had some time to like think about it and like comprehend it, just understand it.
Yeah.
Like for example, after the Espoo tournament, we still went to Bali for the World Championship with the academy team and also the German Championship, where I was not really fully agile, so I was just like we were all playing really loose. So I think while obviously playing tournaments and stuff after this, like really after the break, I could really start to think about what just happened. Like after the like Christmas break,
Yeah.
I just really think, yo, what happened? And I would say I'm like really well more complete as a player than I was at the start of the year. But also I'm way more complete and I have a way better perspective on how to, how to win games than when I was IGLing before, like before the major and now after. Because when you see tabseN do it, and with in Germany there's like a word like Leichtigkeit, like this easiness how he does it, like
Okay.
because it seems so easy for him to
Mm.
do it in these scenarios. And just overall also the approach like on these maps, how they think the map should be played and stuff, this is also coming together. But overall I would say, yeah, well, I think that's a good point. Overall I'd say the approach on how to play as a team and as a system with like your players and which role these players have. I think that's a good job where I could like also copy a bit for now this year for my stint in the academy team again. And obviously you learn so much about playing the map, like for example Mirage, how they default, how also on city side, how they view to punish these common things like a mid take, like fast mid take or like a late mid take. How's their approach to challenge these things, and that obviously goes for every map that we played, and how to outplay them in these key scenarios. And especially from the game against Furia, where it's like we're down 3-13 on the CT side of Vertigo, and now we're playing city side, and in this game we just understood what we need to do to win this game, and that's like a huge point I could take for for my time and how I want to teach it to my players in the academy team.
Hmm. You know, that's one of the most interesting answers I received to that question when I've asked. You know, obviously I've had a lot of interviews with Bulgarian players and asked them that, but to know how to win the games according to the circumstances is really, it sounds like a really vital skill to have. But with that being said, I guess we can come to a conclusion. And for the last thing that I want to ask you, it's not that much of a question. It's kind of like giving you the microphone. But is there something that you want to say to everyone at home that's been cheering for you personally and you as a team?
I gained so much support in this last month, obviously coming into the main team, and also just at the start of the year coming into big. It was like, it's like the biggest organization in Germany. We have like the Roaring Beers as well, the fan club. So much support coming from all these guys, and also people from all around the world. And at the Brazil major, there were like so many people who wanted like to do photos and pictures and stuff, and like signing their mouse pads. It was so crazy. That was like a really humbling experience to just, I just played this game for a long time, and now I'm playing. I played these huge tournaments. I just want to keep it up, but also to the German community. We have like, I just remember a few years ago where there was like the 99 championship, the
Yeah.
99 Liga, and also the German championship. People were like winning these tournaments, and they were like, yeah, no, I'm the German champion, and they were like, yeah, that's it. But in the end, no, that's not it, because you're like so far away from like competing with the best, and I think that's what it should be about. And so I just want to say to like every one of the German guys, just keep it up, just play hard and review your games. Don't like be satisfied with winning a German championship or stuff like that, because it's just the start of the road. And yeah, just work hard, guys. Even I wouldn't say it's a dark spot for German CS right now, but obviously there were like a lot of like full-time organizations going out of the scene. So it's tough to play full-time CS in Germany right now. But yeah, just need to play hard, review your games, and get better. And eventually, like hard work pays off. We'll all get there. And yeah, so much support from these months from all these guys, especially in Germany. It's like really nice. I'm really happy right now in my life. Where I'm at right now. And also thanks to our sponsors for making it possible. Like for example, this year I'm also in the Berlin bootcamp since like at the start of the year, like also more than 1 month now.
Yeah.
So I'm just staying here, but I'm going home like in a week. So that's like almost 2 months or 1.5 months here in Berlin already, just playing CS in the bootcamp. So I'm really grateful for where I am right now, and also for the support I'm getting. So just a big thanks to everyone.
Well, thank you a lot for joining me in for, well, a second time. But it's it's
No
the it's the
worries.
first interview, but it was the second time. It was absolutely my pleasure. And obviously, thank you everyone at home for watching. That was s1n from Big Academy. Hopefully, soon s1n from the big main team again. But I guess we just have to wait and see. Thank you again for joining me. And thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you really, really soon again. Bye bye.
No worries. Thank you.